Well, here we are in the shop again. Welcome back. Today I've got these old fence pickets here, and thought we'd build us a sign for the shop. Since the logo for Home Built Workshop does have the weathered boards in the back, I thought it would be cool to build us an actual wood sign out of weathered boards. Let's get started. First step for this project was to remove all the old nails. I didn't want any of them to run through the saw. Next, I cut them down to size on the table saw. I cut them at various random lengths to try to make it not look so uniform. I tried to use the weathered end whenever possible. Now that I've got all the pieces cut, I'm going to go ahead and lay them out, arrange it so it looks the best, and get it glued up. I'm trying to arrange it so that all the cut edges aren't together and also all the natural edges aren't together. I'm trying to make it look as random as possible. So now that I've got it laid out, I need to reverse the order so I can glue them up on the back. There. To hold it together, I'm just going to put a generous amount of yellow glue on there. And I'll use some screws to hold it together. And I'll repeat that process. And there's our completed back. Okay, now we've got our background for our sign glued up and drying. It's time to cut out all the lettering for our sign. We're going to use MDF. I've got a bunch of scraps of MDF around the shop. We're going to try to use up some of that stuff. I've gone ahead and made some templates and printed them out of our logo. And I've made a bunch of different pieces and parts, and we're going to go ahead and glue them onto some MDF. Just using some spray glue to start sticking my templates down to the wood. I've sliced them all up into pieces to try to fit the scraps of MDF that I'm going to use for this project. I'm just trying to fit them on there as best I can, not worrying too much how they're laid out. Just trying to maximize the use of these scraps. Not too worried how they're on there because it's MDF and grain pattern is not an issue. Anytime I'm working on a project on the scroll saw, I like to cover the pattern with packing tape. It helps to hold the pattern down. It also seems like it lubricates the blade a little bit. Time to cut.
This is really taking a long time. The last letter. So now that I've got everything cut out, it's time to move on and get it sanded. The first thing I need to do is try to remove as much of the pattern as possible. Sometimes this can be a little bit tricky, depending on how much glue I used. So this is about as good as I could get peeling that pattern off. I think I may have used just a little bit too much glue. Good thing these are flat because I'm going to have to use a random orbit sander and sand the rest of the pattern off. To sand it all, I'm going to use a combination of hand sanding and my homemade spindle sander. Now I can lay out the location of the letters on my sign. To do that, I've made a full-size printout of my sign and I've marked a center line on that. Then I measured the shortest board on the bottom of the sign, the shortest board on the top of the sign, and I found the center between that. I then took a piece of tape and ran it straight across the sign on that center point to give me a center reference line. Now I can take the center line I marked on my printout, line it up with the center line I've marked with the tape, center it left and right, and I should be good to go. I'm going to hold the pattern in place with a few brads. I tried taping it down, but the tape doesn't stick to the wood. Now I can start arranging the letters on top of the template. I'm going to hold the letters on the sign using a dowel. I'm going to drill straight through the letter and glue the dowel into the letter and then into the sign. So I want to hold the letters in place while I drill them, so I'm just going to clamp a board over the top of them to put a little pressure on them. Then I'm just using a 1/4-inch drill bit with a stop collar to drill straight through the letters. Since they're going to be painted, I'm not worried about any holes I'm putting in there. I've cut a bunch of little dowels that I'm just going to glue in the back of these letters. I've marked the top of each letter to make sure I don't glue the dowels in the wrong side. For the smaller letters, I'm just drilling a really small hole in the back side of the letters, and then I'm just gluing the dowel in place. I'm using just a little bit of wood filler to fill up the holes from the dowels. The only holes I have left to drill are the holes to mount the small letters. I'm just going to line them up as best I can on the pattern and trace it out, and then I'll just drill them. We'll do a quick sanding of the wood filler to cover the dowel holes. I've drilled a bunch of holes in some different pieces of scrap wood, and I'm going to use that for a stand just to hold the letters so I can paint them. I'm going to use spray paint to finish these letters. I'm starting off with some spray primer. This is going to show me any imperfections that I may need to fill or sand a little more. Then I'll add a second coat, followed by the finished coat of paint. Now that all our paint's dry, I've pushed all the letters back into their place on the sign, and here's our finished product. I'm really happy with the way this sign turned out. I think this is going to make a great addition to the shop. I might even put it in my home office. So thanks for watching this episode of Home Built Workshop. And as always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also, you can follow me on Twitter. I really appreciate your support. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Whoops. Play a tune.